Peace to the tribe. Peace to the tribes. Shalom to the real ones. I know some can't see it just yet, but this is for the ones who do and can. Kind. HWH. The whole system is designed to disconnect you from your intuition. Why? Disconnected people are easy to manipulate. You see, they want to disconnect you from your cosmos. They want to keep you disconnected from the cosmos. When it's supposed to be a unison, a union. You know, surfing the wave on that union, well, you begin to fight that manipulation. You get to gel back what was always meant to be congruent. You are the expression of the true earth plane, but at the same time, you are still of the cosmic force. You know, that fire is within you. That fire is natural, as a Dracon, as a natural Khan, that came through the portal, which is Aman, which is Aqua, came through the portal as a flame, partial to the sun, Khan, but your own flame, your own blaze. And as a blaze, you can still surf the wave, because that's how this goes. And being that you are that flame, well, there is no separation, Khan. Because as the Khan made mention, right, we're not talking Ethiopian, we're talking Ethiopian. You know what I'm saying? That is the ether phase. You know, we just talking ether flow. Talking that ether flow, well, you begin to realize we're not just talking about air, Shabbat. So out to the real ones, to all my cons, we're just, back with another one. And honestly, Shabbat, we had definitely did it again. So we're going to get straight to it. Give yourself some AI for being such a wonderful, beautiful tribe that you are. Let's go. This drop was brought to you by West Virginia. Shalom to the cons. Alright. We just surfing a little IG flow. And before we hit play, you know what I'm saying, surfing the wave, we're just making, a notification, a reminder, right, that the ancients didn't refer to the Great Spirit just for no reason. You got to come into the knowledge of the spiritual law. And that spiritual law is there is no separation. Okay? So when there is no separation, let's get it.
Whatever this is, this right here, we think it's air. But I realized that if I stop, close my nose and mouth for 4 minutes, if I'm separated from this substance for 4 minutes, my heart don't stop. My brain don't even stop. My body functions don't stop. The first thing I lose is consciousness. I pass out. I could no longer stay aware. So I started to say, well, wait a minute. I'm not just breathing in air. I'm breathing in consciousness. I'm inhaling and exhaling God itself.
Bang. You know what I'm saying? When you're surfing the wave, you start to see there is no separation. And I get that air is something that you can call it. Air is something that you can identify it as when you put it into a box as a label. But when we're talking about the function and when we're talking about the actuality, what it's really referred to as, what it really connects to, well, you get your order, right? You get your Hawa. Let's start the wave. Oh man, my bad, Joe. Hold on, we gotta get that back.
I think it's air, but I realized that if I stop, close my nose and mouth for 4 minutes, if I'm separated from this substance for 4 minutes, my heart don't stop. My brain don't even stop. My body functions don't stop. The first thing I lose is consciousness. I pass out. I could no longer stay aware. So I started to say, well, wait a minute. I'm not just breathing in air. I'm breathing in consciousness. I'm inhaling and exhaling God itself. And this air is conscious.
That'll really bake some noodles out there.
Right here.
Let's go.
This. Whatever this is, this right here. We think it's air. But I realized that if I stop, close my nose and mouth for 4 minutes, if I'm separated from this substance for 4 minutes, my heart don't stop. My brain don't even stop. My body functions don't stop. The first thing I lose is consciousness. I pass out. I could no longer stay aware. So I started to say, well, wait a minute. I'm not just breathing in air. I'm breathing in consciousness. I'm inhaling and exhaling God itself. And this air is conscious.
Bang. We're going to continue to surf the wave. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? More IG flow. We really surfing the wave. Right? And we just going to see what we got. Max say how to the try. We're talking about real human aura recordings. Bioenergy fields filmed by scientists. Bioenergy, right? And we're just talking about the body. Energy that is built off the body, right? So we've been talking frequency. We've been talking colors. We've been talking, you know what I'm saying, cosmic, right? Now I'm going to basically show you exactly what I mean when we say all this. This is part 4. Let's surf the wave.
The following film shows the human energy field radiating outward from the body. It dynamically changes based on the physical conditions, the feeling states, the motivations of the person, in interaction with energy radiation from objects and living things. The existence of the human energy field, or the aura, was validated and studied by over 12 years of high-frequency recordings. This film shows the field not ordinarily seen, but now visible. Like all living things, this little dog has a sizable radiant field, even when he sits quietly. Notice now, as he greets his master, the obvious love and affection between them increases the dynamic radiation from their bodies, even the dog's tail and the man's head. No wonder so many people have pets who give them pleasure and provide a vital field of energy to interact with.
Whoa, her wording on that was really, really crazy. You know what I'm saying? It just makes me respond to react. Let's go.
Wherever there is motion in the universe, there is increased flow in the field that humans interact with. See the
And that motion is Hawa, because Hawa is that action. You got to keep in mind, Hawa is the life, the force, the movement. You know what I'm saying? The stream, the flow. It has to be channeled.
Explosive activity from the waves and from his body. Also, the electromagnetic field of the body is negatively charged or ionized, as our waves are tumbling water, which further expands and heightens his field, giving a physical exuberance and emotional excitement.
I know you heard what she said. He is ionized. Okay? Ain't that what she said? He is ionized because he is negatively charged, which heightens his happiness as far as the emotion goes. Looking where he's at. You know what I'm saying? So when I tell you I'm charged up on this negative energy, you know what I'm saying? I hope you can relate to it kind in that excitement, in that expression of such happiness. We just building vibes. Hey, how to you. That is a wonderful tribe.
No wonder that a day at the beach is so exhilarating and vitalizing. We all love a babbling brook and the freshness of outdoor vegetation and mountains. Most of us believe that it is relaxation and beauty which refreshes us. From our research, we have discovered that living plants and rarefied atmosphere provide a richer field of negative ions, which heightens and replenishes our own energy field. Notice that the man's field becomes light in color and high in frequency. It sparkles and
So just imagine for the Naga, right? The actual Dracon, that which is natural by law, formed in the actual charge with no separation from Hawa. You know what I'm saying? What your melanin does, your carbon, you know what I'm saying? Your element does in harmony. Pay attention to the tone and the frequency that we're speaking in. We're just surfing a wave.
Radiates some distance from his body. See that as the child moves into the mother's field, the affection between them changes the overall field to a pink color. Individuals' fields blend and enhance when there is a warm, caring relationship. These energy fields are the largest and the whitest that we have shown. She is oming. On the breath inhalation, the radiant field diminishes, and on exhalation, it expands and envelops the child.
You see why we've been surfing the waves so closely, Aqua? This is just a message for you, because in this build, you know what I'm saying, in this shaping, in this presenting form, especially when it is involving new and young life, well, this radiation is exactly what shapes and develops the future, right? And getting back to this unison, we're going to get some examples on what I mean exactly. But getting back to this unison, it's important to know that we all know increasing the Aqua's frequency in such a way, in such a manner, especially within our close-knitted Shabbatah, is only going to increase this true earth plane's magnetism in a way that can be both, some can see it as destructive, others are going to see it as a healing. It depends on which wave you're surfing. You know what I'm saying? And we're just bringing this awareness to the true earth plane as we magnetize. Let's get it.
Known for a long time that Gregorian chants, oming, humming, singing, and whistling create an energy which perks up emotions and brings an expanded consciousness.
We're going to get it one more time.
Interesting.
The following film shows the human energy field radiating outward from the body. It dynamically changes based on the physical conditions, the feeling states, the motivations of the person, in interaction with energy radiation from objects and living things. The existence of the human energy field, or the aura, was validated and studied by over 12 years of high-frequency recordings. This film shows the field not ordinarily seen, but now visible. Like all living things, this little dog has a sizable radiant field, even when he sits quietly. Notice now.
Man, they always jump straight into their dogs and their animals, man. You know, I'm just surfing the wave. I know try surfing the wave. You know what I mean? This is the image of Hawa, part 4. Natural by law. That is 432. Shouts out to you, Drive Nation. Ancient wave surfers. Let's get it.
Now, as he greets his master, the obvious love and affection between them increases the dynamic radiation from their bodies, even the dog's tail and the man's head. No wonder so many people have pets who give them pleasure and provide a vital field of energy to interact with. Wherever there is motion in the universe, there is increased flow in the field that humans interact with. See the explosive activity from the waves and from his body. Also,
explosive. We were just talking about being that natural flame. You know what I'm saying? You already know.
The electromagnetic field of the body is negatively charged or ionized, as our waves are tumbling water, which further expands and heightens his field, giving a physical exuberance and emotional excitement. No wonder that a day...
So see, surfing the wave gives me this emotional excitement, you know what I mean? And as we surf this wave and charge on this emotional excitement, it's also developing a spiritual one, you know, and we are building on the charge of these original souls, those with the soul, that is the sun within. Let's get it.
Day at the beach is so exhilarating and vitalizing. We all love a babbling brook and the freshness of outdoor vegetation and mountains. Most of us believe that it is relaxation and beauty which refreshes us. From our research, we have discovered that living plants and rarefied atmosphere provide a richer field of negative ions, which heightens and replenishes our own energy field. Notice that the man's field becomes...
So again, you know what I'm saying, get out here and make some friends with some trees, you know what I'm saying, actually try to develop a little inner conversation, you know what I'm saying, build an inner conversation with a particular tree. Natural's been surfing this wave this whole time, especially as we get back to 432thedrop.com, you know what I'm saying, where we really started to eat the buzz, but you got to be a real one to know that. So as we get back to those drops, these conversations, as we build on this connectivity, well, you know, we were always talking about making friends with trees. I myself has gotten back into this rhythm, you know, and if you've been surfing the wave, since we've been kicking off these drops, we're trying to get you to elevate, and everything that I'm suggesting is nothing out of the ordinary, but you got to really get out here and do it. And that's the thing, you know what I'm saying? You got to really try it. Try benefiting on the beneficial factors that comes with making friends with trees. And this is just not to be funny, even if you are, hood naga or whatever, you got different interests. You don't know what this walk of life is necessarily about. It's all right, because you ain't got to get crazy with it. You know what I'm saying? But the roots of a tree expand way beyond the earth, the dirt, so that connectivity is all up under you. All you got to do is get close enough to the tree, cop a seat, you know what I'm saying? Just chill and just let your mind flow. Whatever it is that you're thinking about, if you're brave enough, put your back against the tree and just set your head against it and then harmonize with whatever you wave surfing on. I guarantee it. Put some earphones on, listen to something. I guarantee it. If you got some worries, actually process by, you don't have to speak out loud, but verbally say what it is that you're feeling. You know what I'm saying? If you're having some struggle, some time, get out there with that tree and verbalize it, softly to yourself. Whatever it is you got to do, get in your rhythm. But befriending a tree is the way to be. Shabbat. Let's get it.
Light in color and high in frequency. It sparkles and radiates some distance from his body. See that as the child moves into the mother's field, the affection between them changes the overall field to a pink color. Individuals' fields blend and enhance when there is a warm, caring relationship. These energy fields are the largest and the whitest that we have shown. She is oming. On the breath inhalation, the radiant field diminishes, and on exhalation, it expands and envelops the child. We have known for a long time that Gregorian chants, oming, humming, singing, and whistling create an energy which perks up emotions and brings an expanded consciousness.
Bang. We shall continue. See, we're going to talk DaWee in a way we haven't done so before. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk Prester in a way we haven't done so before. You know what I'm saying? Shalom to the real ones. And as you can see, we got the two different tree types. So the Meteorite tree grid, which is attached to the false light. Again, we're digging on this split, right? This cutoff, because there was a split from this higher dimension. So within this Meteorite tree of life, we have what's referred to as the 10-sphere tree, right? And within this 10-sphere, well, this is the original tree that they give to you in Kabbalah. All right. And within this tree, they'll give you the access to the 12. It'll be like 2 more on top, but that's as high as it goes. When you're dealing with the Kathara, that's what they refer to it as. This is just something that I would refer to as the natural tree grid, right? Because we're dealing with natural light, natural ascension, natural 5D. You know what I'm saying? You got the drop from Carameo, the one he was digging on the Mayan and the Israelites. You know what I'm saying? You surfing the wave with the calm. You know what I'm saying? In that drop, we uncovered that the Maya's name meant natural, to be natural, right? So when we're connecting all of this back to the Tamoan Khan surfing the wave, we were telling you that the Tamoan Khan meant the natural land of the Khans, right? So we're dealing with this natural light, with this natural ascension, with this natural 5th dimension. This is why we're becoming the supernatural, all right, Khan? Because this is the natural order. This is why you've been hearing me speaking on this order and this return. Because over here, when you're surfing the wave with this, you get what's referred to as their version of the creator gods, right? What they feed you a version of a creator god. It's attached to their artificial intelligence. because this is their limiting understanding, right? Like I said, we're going to talk Prester in a way we haven't done so before. When we're talking about the natural order, we're dealing with natural beings, natural by law. When you're dealing with this side, you're getting phantom and artificial order. Surf the wave, you know what I'm saying? We've dealt with these phantoms. I took you through the dark side because right now all of this is really lining up. You know, before when I showed you this in the past, it was like, huh? All right. So this is their version of the flower of life. All right. The daisy of finite life. This is their version of the flower of life. Now, 9 times out of 10, when you're ordering something with the design of the flower of life, is going to come like this on purpose. But when you're dealing with the natural order, where you have this lotus of perpetual life, okay? And when we're surfing the wave on your natural energies, well, you see already we're supplied with this 12 tree grid, with this natural tree grid that extends us beyond. Notice how from 12 we're now looking at a 15 dimensional time matrix. When you're surfing a wave with this Meteorite tree of life, right, picking up from the last drop, well, you're stuck. So now that we're digging on this 15 time dimension, you know what I'm saying, let's look at down here. If they'll let us get it. That's it. I wish I could blow this up more. Well, you see it really quick, right? You have the bi-wave polarity as a closed system, which is this, and then you have the tri-wave unity open loop system. Notice how I've been speaking on this unity, how we've been speaking on this unity, how the tribe's been building on this unity, and how to the real one surfing the frequency and vibration, right? So when we're talking about these different dimensions, well, you can see the multicolored, faceted unison that we have here create open loop systems that basically have a never-ending process. And when you get to this side, it closes off, right? And I know this is what we're used to. But again, we're talking about this divine fire water, right? So when we're digging on the natural order, you see how we have the matter field, right? And it's just right here at the tip of the 7. And the higher you get, you know what I'm saying, as we'll get further on, we start to dig and build on this transformation. So we're just talking anion. Right? And because we're talking about this anion, well, they'll point out to us that we're digging on time portals and dimensional lock systems. All right. And we're going to dig some more on this, but pay attention to this primal light field, right? And this density of 5th dimension. Now, the density of 5th dimension is in 13, 14, and 15. But you're cut off at the tip of the 4th dimension. That's why everything's only dealing with the 4th. And then it works its way down. Right? It works its way down. Now, as we can see, when we're talking about that divine fire, right? And then you have the divine water, and then they create that divine fire water. You see what's in the middle is always the true earth plane in different stages according to its density. So, you know, here we have the pre-matter, which is still your ethereal, your not yet, you know what I'm saying? This is actually no matter, right? So you're jumping from, as they have it, pre-matter down to your etheric matter under Gaia. So when you hear Gaia and Gaia is trying to tell you about this future and this and that, it's just an elevation. All right? It's just an elevation. It's a part of the rising. Same thing as we're getting with this Terra. And then right now we're in 3rd density according to the measurement. And because we're in 3rd density, because we're in 3rd density, it's referred to as Earth. But as we climb up on the way, right, as we climb up, as we anion, it will shift into Terra. You know, and this has a lot of the vibrations to be, you know, when people refer to themselves as the Tamarians and the so forth, you're getting back to this vibration, which is Terra, because Terra was the ancient name or one of, you know, the frequencies of this vibration we call the true earth plane. All right. And as we're digging on these stargates and portals, well, just as the aqua, you know what I'm saying, is the portal, there's also stargates. And this is why we need a balance, because that Naga, the masculine, represents the traveler through these stargates, right? In and out of portals. And when you put the two, they exist as black and white hole pairs. They are connected at the center by a scalar frequency seal. When the stargates or portals activate, the center seal releases and the spiral pair merge to form a Merkaba field. You see what's going on, cons? So this is what we've been digging on, right? It develops this Merkaba field. And just like the Khan was saying, before the separation of the yin and the yang, there is this unison of crazy powwow. So this is what we're talking about. This is that crazy powwow. All right. So we're just showing you exactly how we've been surfing the wave. And, you know, we're now a part of that shift. We're now in that shift. This drop is showing you we're in that shift. As we're talking about this, go check the drops out from 8-9 months ago. You know what I'm saying? Zet Tepe talk 8-9 months ago in comparison to now. And that's a jump. That's progress. You should be proud of yourself, especially that this is now making sense to you, because this is that magic that I was talking about, right? When I jumped back out in the ether to let the tribe know I'm working on that magic. This is it. Letting you know and getting you prepared for this elevation, this kun kun. We are on the rise, the ascension. That is the anion. Surf the wave. All right, so we're digging on this Emerald Awakening, the exploring the lights of higher worlds. All right. And Natural's been telling you he's on a mission. He's been telling you that the tribe is on a mission. You know, and everyone has their own version of this mission. You know, but I'm just here to show you the difference, because I told you in part 3 we was going to address such things. You know, but this topic can get really crazy. It can spark a lot of debate. It can make a lot of folks feel a certain way, because Nagas like us aren't supposed to have been talking about this. We're not even supposed to have this access to it to make it make sense, because this is how we construct reality in the real time. You know what I'm saying? Especially as you implement these thoughts and train the way that you think. You know, I mean, if you get out here and you get charged up to where you want to physically fight, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? But the wave that I'm sending, you know, my real ones on, we won't even have to lift a finger. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to do this with the unison. You know what I'm saying? And this combination of this divine fire water is a real powerful thing, because there's an ancient technique, you know what I'm saying, to, you know, to speak plainly, the actual process of sex was used as a military weapon to crush and destroy nations of enemies. Because when man and woman are focused in their intent, well, sex is one of the most strongest powers and expressions of energy. So if you have the intention at the common uniqueness to bring that intent to a so-called climax, well, you develop that energy in real time. That is part of the creation. You know what I'm saying? And I know this I know this by, you know, low-key experience, you know what I'm saying? And this is what we mean. You know, you don't have to physically go to war, because in times of war, you're supposed to what? Build. You know what I'm saying? This is why you get close to Aqua. She gets close to Ak. We become Nagas and Naginis, and we flourish in this time of springing, right? Because during the spring is the flowering. You see what's going on? So on this mission, let's dig on it. It says there is much happening in our world and lives at present. It can help to have some framework to try and make sense of what is going on. This empowers us to deal with our situation. We find ourselves somewhat confined with a 3D physical world. Now they're going to talk about confined, because as you know, we're seeing they're coming into this awareness barely. And they're starting to realize, damn, this is a paradigm. But when you're natural by law, this paradigm works to your favor because it's a part of a transition. But these portals and these different channels represent a work that needs to be done. And we're going to get into it as we continue to surf the wave. Like I said, we're going to be talking Prester in the way that we haven't, at least in a minute. I'll say that. So in comparison, you got the 12, you got the 10. You see how automatically this is giving you just a bit more of an advantage if we're talking about our anion. All right. So they see themselves confined, but the ancients always taught about more than a 12 tree grid. They've always talked about more when it came to this ascension. And this is what this ascension was always about. It was always returning back to the source. However, this in turn lives within a larger dimensional structure that is of a major significance to what is happening at present. See? The tree of life is an old age mystical symbol. It is best understood as a map of dimensional structures. What have we been discussing, right? Astral traveling, right? In this tree of life, according to the Tamoan Khans or what? Go get the last drop, right? When we compare the conventional tree of life on the right with a more complete 12-dimensional grid on the left, we see there are some significant differences between the two. The differences between these dimensional grids are key to understanding the history and politics of our local universe. Dimensional structure. And of course, we're going to have to dodge the hijack with everything. I don't know if I needed to make that clear, but when we, I guess, come to something, just in case, you know what I'm saying? Says dimensional structure. It is worthwhile to take a few minutes to review the essential elements of dimensional structure to set the scene. The most fundamental aspect of creation is existence, life, or consciousness. Without existence, nothing is possible or meaningful. There is nothing. We can regard the pure or fundamental state of existence as source. So as we've been building in these presentations, this specific series, we've been hearing these vibrations, pure and clear. We're dealing with the fundamental state now of existence as source. Source is the internal life field that underlies, contains, and animates, and is all that is. Source is the essence of divinity. It also corresponds to the ultimate unified field scientists are exploring. Notice again, we're digging on that unified field, right? Again, key attributes of source are that it is totally integrated, alive, conscious, and holds the potentiality for all. And when they're talking about integrated, dodge all hijacks, we just mean your ha and your wa. It is just the recognition of your abba, your ama. It also transcends limitation. Exactly. Structure and form, and as such is totally free. Hawa. In simple terms, we can regard source as total aliveness that is absolutely free. And that means something specific to the Nagas, right? To the Khans, right? Those Khans of the Americas, those indigenous, natural, aboriginal to the land, those autochthonous, of the land. If you got this American flowing through your vein, you know that to be of the source is to feel this total aliveness, is to crave, and it is to actually taste this absolute freedom. This is all the Naga wants. This is all the real ones want, is this freedom. Let's surf the wave, y'all. This freedom includes the freedom to create. Khan. Creation arises within source as an exploration of potential. Khan. Creation effectively is source standing back to view and explore itself from vantage points within fields of separation or structure. That's powerful, right? We're talking about the powwow. Source isn't separate from creation. It enters into creation as the life that animates all, the awareness that sees the consciousness that perceives all. Source isn't a remote reality. It couldn't be more intimate. You see what I'm saying? So if you've really been surfing the wave of natural, I know it may sound a certain way, but I've been letting you know I'm surfing a wave. And when I'm in that recognition, Shabbat, I got to convey the message exactly how it is, because it's going to uplift that very one that needs to hear it. You know what I'm saying? We got a cool squad of Nagas that surf the wave. You know what I'm saying? And out of that good little group, you know what I mean? I know I'm affecting and charging up a good 100 Nagas, like on a consistent. And with that, I'm fine with that tiny little message. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with those real ones. And I mean, AHA to anyone beyond that, but in reality, I really don't know who, this message will affect. And I can't reserve and hide and step on that message. That message has to be expressed exactly how it is, because it's a part of the art, and that art is going to roll off on someone else and give them a charge, and that charge turns into a snowball effect, right? An avalanche of something within time that will be huge. It's happened so many times. I've done seen this. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just surfing the wave to do so, because A-hop to the cons that done the same for me. You know what I'm saying? And it's only right that cons continue to do so as we surf the wave. It says, ultimately, it is what is looking out through our eyes, seeing behind our seeing, the doing behind our doing, and ultimately the life in our lives. We hold source connection to the extent that we are alive. Hawa. And we're just referring to the Great Spirit. You know what I'm saying? Source is like the air around us. What did I just say? Right? Source is like the air around us. We just got that this air is related to this consciousness. So we're talking about Hawa. This consciousness is around us, right? It is everywhere. The difficulty is that we have, let's dodge all hijack, because we don't know who has what, and we're not all the same. So we'll say the difficulty is that there are blockages for some in the airwaves that impede their ability to breathe. This is what I'm talking about. This air to its fullest potential. So this is why you got to dodge a hijack, because they're trying to trick you into believing this is where we are all in unison. And you got to know, no, we're not. Some don't have a problem with breathing to their best ability, this air, this consciousness. And this is what this pop-off is all about for those that are natural by law. As we clear these blockages, the air is there for us to breathe. We can draw fuller draughts of pure, clear, refreshing, and revitalizing air. We don't have to go looking for a source. It's mainly a question of healing and maintaining our connections, as well as clearing blockages. Creation emerges from a point of focus in source. This begins to elaborate structure around a particular theme. This initially creates a very fine fields of structure known as the primal sound fields. These fields are still highly conscious and integrated. Consciousness hasn't yet separated out into individual units we would recognize as specific beings or personages. There are large collective of consciousness here referred to as the yanas. They are so highly integrated that they don't need names as external handles, but it's useful for us to have a reference point for communication. Like source, they are not remote from us. This is where we come from, our family up the line. The sound fields transcend dimensionalization and time, and as such can be regarded as the eternal life fields. So now you see why we're always digging on sound, right? Shabbaton, let's get this back, right? Because if we're starting from the bottom, this could be a hijack site, but look at the evidence and what they're telling you. They're telling you that the solid is this copper, right? So this is the natural structure of the density. Okay, so as the copper colored rich, as the copper colored faces, those that were found here as the faces of the ether. You see, you are covered in this copper bronze skin tone. That process is then your melanin, right, envelops this liquid. You know what I'm saying? This liquid, which is the fluid that runs within you. And then your elements, which is this gas, this chaos, is all a part of this plasma. And as you see, we've been breaking these down by each part, right? Part 1, part 2, part 3. I've been breaking these down. So now for those surfing the wave, they see this as pure water flow. Because as we're anion, right, we're going up. We're talking about the refinement. You peep the wording. Look at the vibrations. We're talking about a refinement, right? A freedom. We're rising, right? That rising is leading to this light, this etheric energy. You know what I'm saying? And this etheric energy is rising to this sound, which is bringing forth this life consciousness, getting us right back to the source. You know, and this is why we're always digging on sound. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm always telling you, if the sound is a thing, then it's cool. You know what I mean? Because I know why I'm playing this sound, and it's to rise that elevation. You know what I'm saying? It's to rise that elevation, right? Because when we're talking about prime or the primal, you know, we're talking about belonging to the earliest age or stage. We're talking about primary. We're talking about first, right? This primal, you know what I'm saying? And then we're digging up prime being the first, the original, the first in order of time. So it's a lot of disorder. That's why Natural's been digging on this order, reintroducing this order, because we're just talking about the first or the first part, the chief, the first chief, which is in front or before that which is who? Modern or new. Because we're just the first in the rank, that being fine of quality or of the first excellence. This is the first in rank of degree or importance. We're talking prime. We're also talking springtime. You can't make this up. You know, springtime. You see what's going on? Springtime. Even when you're referring this to a part of your day, it's talking about springtime, right? 9 as a prime number. You know what I'm saying? All right. The highest. All right, cons. So we're surfing the wave on this prime. Y'all gotta surf the wave with the con. This is why we also be digging on sound. It get real in the field, you know? It really get real in the field. But we're just talking about the primal sound fields, okay? This primal sound. So we're talking about the first of sound. And this first of sound is what the non-believers refer to as the Big Bang. But we're always going to get back to that Hawa. We're going to show you the frequency of Hawa through these vibrations. Anyhow, cause see, you know, definitely throughout the years I've been complimented on, you know, just me talking normal without sound. And I appreciate that, like for real. Max Tawa, Dodd, Ahab, for your, you know, wishful compliments. But when we add this sound, you know, it takes us to a higher frequency, to a higher dimension. And that's exactly what we specialize in right here, surfing the wave on the ether buzz. It's specializing in that sonic frequency. Everything that we've been building on lately has been within this sonic frequency. So we have the sound fields are highly creative in their own right and elaborate another more specific level of creation. They create the primal life fields. The impulse to create carries intent and purpose that manifests information to shape the emerging realities. The explorations and experiences within this, there is freedom to explore potentials, but limited by consequences. This provides for a wide range of learning, including learning what not to do. The creation impulse also carries an impetus, a force that manifests energy. This energy in turn emerges as pure fields of light within primal light fields. This is a greater degree of polarization here that creates cycle of polarity with beginnings, duration, and endings. This manifests what we experience as time. There is also a greater degree of structure with the emergence of dimensions as specific reality fields with boundaries. The light fields are still highly conscious, reasonably integrated, and very creative. With dimensionalization, consciousness is beginning to emerge into individual units of consciousness, races, and specific beings. See what's going on? Our family at this level are referred to as the Rishi founder races. Now, people's going on, because this is what we're talking about when we mean original, when we say prime, when we're talking primordial. There can only be one. You can't have a mixture of just founders and everyone be a founder. You got to talk about the prime. There is an order. Being creative, consciousness at this level elaborates the next level of structure within creation, the matter fields, or the mother fields, right? Because matter is mother. It is mother. So as soon as we start to see these matter fields, we know we're talking about Ama. Alright? The primal energy within the light fields undergoes a progressive densification into ever more specific forms down to the concrete structures we find in the physical reality fields in the world around us. This densification of energy is progressive and proceeds through 4 stages. Keep that in mind. Densification is a process of embedding consciousness, information, and energy into specific structures for a cycle of time, after which all is released back towards source. These structures get smaller, denser, and more confined, more separated and localized as we proceed down through the main levels of the matter fields. These levels can be illustrated by the 4 stages of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. In 3D physical reality, for example, matter is very concrete or solid. It has well-defined structure, form, and location, and it takes a lot of effort to change these. Okay, so it takes a lot to change this. You can't just, you know what I mean? This is how we know this is a part of a divine order, a commandment. These are instructions. Because to manipulate this or to change it, that is your magic. Especially when we're talking about using to harm, right? That is your witchcraft. Magic is a natural practice. Witchcraft is something else. At the next level up, matter is a bit freer, less dense and more fluid, resembling the liquid state. Above this, we have greater level of freedom resembling the gaseous phase. This finest level of matter bridging between the primal light fields and other matter fields. And that gaseous phase is the chaos. Alright? It says of other matter fields corresponds to the plasma phase of matter. Excuse me. So bridging between the primal light fields and the other matter fields corresponds to the plasma phase of matter. This is a state of highly energized and free matter, or conversely condensed energy light. Alternatively, we can use the classical 5 elements to relate to the 5 major or density levels. We thus have earth, water, air, and fire within the matter fields and ether in the light fields. This outlines somewhat linear or sequential structure to creation from a 3D perspective. From a source perspective, creation is a holographic. A hologram is a projection where the whole is contained in every part, and every part has a relationship with the whole. So if you've been surfing waves since part 1, I mean, this is like ping, pow, pow, wow. This is, man, you know what I mean? This is hollering at you. This is yelling at you. This is barking at you. You know? Holographic creation, this fundamental structure of creation, is repeated many times. It is nested repeatedly within itself down through ever finer levels of structure. However, the fundamental connections are retained at every level. This is the meaning of the law of one, recognizing our connection to the one, the connection of all to one, and our relationship with all thereby. Creation exists within source, and source exists as aliveness within creation at every level. In natural order, there is a continuity of connection between and through every level. We have come into creation through these levels and have soul or spirit family at every level. And we're learning who have souls and who doesn't have souls. And we're going to get into this. There will be a Patreon drop right after. You know what I'm saying? We're surfing the wave. Creation isn't something that was done to us. See, this is where you got to dodge your hijack, right? It is a participative learning experience. We are participants in creation, and our integrated consciousness is in process of creating the realities and consequences we experience across these multiple levels. We are one with source. This implies a sharing in the creative power of capacity of source, but also in the responsibility that goes with this. Right? Now, they're talking about we are all participants. Yes, and to some degree, we are participants because at that very point, we came into creation, or, you know, for the other half of duality, they were literally created by beings outside of the source commands or influence, I'll say. Because they were part of this creation, well, they didn't have a choice, which is why they're here. And they're only attached to the living by pure animation, which is why they share a lot of vibration and frequency with animals, which is why they want us all to feel that very same thing. And there is a bond, don't get me wrong. But the naturals, those natural by law, don't have animal genetics. And that's just the wata. It says dimensions. Each of the major levels in creation is further divided into 3 separate levels or dimensions as illustrated in the diagram over. There are 12 dimensions in the matter fields and a further 3 in the light fields for a total of 15 dimensions. You see what's going on? So when we get that 12 tree grid, the organic natural grid, it leads us automatically into these next 3 dimensions, which are in the light fields, the etheric realm. All right. And this is what that Meteorite tree grid keeps you imprisoned in. They are separated by different frequencies, somewhat like channels on a TV. Alright, it says these dimensions represent different reality fields. They are separated by different frequencies, somewhat like channels on the TV. And notice how you get to the top right here, and it says 3 levels of sound fields. And we're seeing that those 3 levels of sound fields are the light. It is the etheric, right? And this is the fifth dimension, which is the natural order. Alright, my cons, and pay attention to the colors. Because if you got that Terrence Howard drop that we did, we're telling you that these colors are a language, and that this language is a frequency, and that it's a sound, a vibration. We experience creation 3 dimensions at a time. Each group of 3 dimensions represent a density level as shown on the right of the diagram. Alright, so you got every phase going into 3. Alright? Why is this play hating on this? Alright. It says when we project consciousness into this structure, we create bodies for ourselves at each level. These are summarized in the next diagram below. An important point to note is that as we progress down through dimensional structure, we divide our consciousness into ever smaller units. For example, the consciousness we embody as a soul is too big to fit in a single body, and already got to dodge the hijack, because they physically, through war manipulation and plot scheming through Psalms 83, have erased and removed your flowing mem, that is your memory. They have completely severed and disconnected your memory. This is not a natural process, Shabbat. For your melanin, your carbon elemental structure is what gives you the consciousness power, the powwow, the anion feature to your soul that encases it, and it does fit in a single body. They just don't want you connected to it. It says we spread our consciousness as 12 units or personalities across 12 separate physical bodies. And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about white is a cult. Because they like to talk about this fragmentation of the mind. They like to have you operating in this fragmented mind structure. But this is an evolutionary process as a soul. So we know we're just going around in that sense of a clock, right? That revolution. This is an oscillation. So we know each one is just a phase. But it's a collection. It's no different than collecting whatever it is that you collect in your basket. Canasta, right? Surfing the waves for all the real ones. You playing canasta, you're building your basket. That's anion. I'm just building my basket, huh? As a personality, therefore we have relationship with a soul family comprising 12 sibling personalities. These are just your 12 tribes, Shabbat. The same applies to our soul in dimensions 4, 5, and 6. Each soul has a relationship with 12 sibling souls in an oversoul family in dimension 7, 8, and 9, and so on up the scale. Now tell me that's not an anion for the charge. When we're talking about the ascending sign to oversoul, go surf the wave. This is illustrated by the clusters of 12 arrows projecting down from each density level to the level below in the following diagram. As we move down through dimensional structure, there is a progressive division of unity and corresponding multiplication of diversity that provides a wider range of experience and learning overall. Conversely, as we move up the scale, there is an expansion of integration of consciousness in an ever larger families and collectives. This applies to everything, planets, galaxies, and so on. For example, our Earth is part of a family of 12 planets that have relationship with a soul, density 2, or parent planet in the Palladians known as Alcyon or Terra. Now, this is where the wave really get interesting. Alright, we're going anion. Now, peep the wave on this, right? You know, they want to, they want to have you hijack with this Pleiades all the time, all right? And I'm not trying to demonize it, but not everything is Pleiades or Pleiadian influence, especially when we're referring to this Taurus. And we're going to get why. Right, but in their breakdown, they're talking about these life fields, and this Rishi being the highest of order. All right, not even the so-called Christ and everything else you guys want to attribute to these higher bodies of consciousness are higher than that of the Rishi. All right, the Rishi is connected to those who were part of the original races, the original beings, the natural by law. All right. So we're going to surf the wave as we Anion, Shalom. Now notice how we've been talking about these stars, right? And notice how they're talking about this, how you would pronounce that. I'm sorry. I'm not too sure right now, right? But we're talking about this particular star, and notice how they're saying that it's a princess, right? And a minor figure. Now this is the feminine energy, so which is interesting because they're tying it into Tara or Terra. Okay? But as we're surfing on this particular star, notice how it's the brightest star in the Palladian star cluster. And this Palladian star cluster, well, it's located in Taurus, which plays a great significance, right? Because we're going to surf the wave. We're talking about Taurus, right? Now you see how this one looks. All right. She was the daughter of Skyron or Siron, who was killed by her father. All right. What was the? Oh, okay. Maybe Siron is her mother, who was killed by her father. After her death, she was transformed into a kingfisher, the bird that bears her name. All right, notice how whenever they talk about this and they dig into Atlas and they try to surf the wave and make the connection back to them, that's why everything can't always be Atlantis. Because when you're digging on primordial, you're digging with a flow, right? Especially when we're talking about Mu and Queen Mu in the lands of Lemuria. Now look at the image they got her in. Because they said that she was related to this Tara, right? Now, before we make that connectivity to Tara, keep in mind, they said that this Palladian star cluster was in the Taurus. Well, Taurus is the bull, right? And when you're connecting that, it's a bull where you get what? Able, right? A bull is able. Now, when you're talking about a bull being able, now you know why over there in Spain they have the ritual with the sacrifice, right? With the matador. And that bull is typically which color? Okay, because it's representing the true meaning of this Taurus constellation, which is a black bull. And this black bull, this Taurus constellation, is where most of these Moors surfed away from. You know what I'm saying? This bull. That's why Jordan was what? Air Jordan. He was on which team? The Bulls. You see what's going on? This Taurus constellation, which was what? A black bull. Air Jordan. This also correlates to what? Red Bull. That's why they say the you know, Red Bull gives you wings, right? Air Jordan. This bull, this Taurus energy, it's all correlating to this war of the stars, war of the heavens. So this able or this bull. Alright, and this is why they practice this. Those that surf the wave on the Patreon know that we were talking about this sacrifice. We'll get to that. So let's go ahead and, you know, surf the wave on this Tara. Ania. Because when we're talking about this Tara, right? This Tara, before it was referred to as anything else, it was of the ancient ones, which got their records from us. Surfing the wave with Kuti Mayo, he's letting you know. The Hindus got their information airdropped from the old world, the Americas. So we're digging on this goddess, this Tara, this Terra, especially if you're talking about Tamaricans, right? You're digging on this Tara, and right away, well, how does this Tara look, right? Anion, I mean, let's blow it up. We're talking about an ancient one, all right? We're talking about an ancient one. Now, what is this ancient one doing? You see what this goddess is doing? This is why I've been trying to spark the fire within the aqua, because now can you see just how powerful our aquas are? Which is why I said we don't have to necessarily lift a finger to do no battle. We just need to get in true, proper harmony with aqua once again, and true frequency of aqua once again, so we can let aqua's cosmic energy do her thing. You know what I'm saying? We're surfing the wave. You see what's going on. See, and this is what modern man don't like. Modern man don't like this side of history. You know, it freaks them out. This is why that last Tamoan Khan drop we got makes Nagas feel a certain way. You know, we're rising up this aqua energy because she is of this ancient frequency. So she is in the what's going on with this? She is also described as the form of the Artaveda, all right? The Artaveda, which is the knowledge storehouse. See what's going on? So she protects her devotees from difficult dangers, and she is also known as this right here, right? The goddess is all-pervading and also manifests on earth. So keep in mind, they're talking about Tara representing this manifestation of earth. And this is why, you know, our aquas got to be aligned with us. Because if not, as you can see, surfing the wave in certain pockets and channels of the internet, you know, certain aquas are trying to channel this energy to completely get rid of the Naga gender entirely. We got a lot of our aquas out there not really feeling the masculine as they try to eradicate us from existence. It's not possible, but it's something they're doing witchcraft to promote. But when you surf the wave correctly, well, you get that this Tara is often described in chapters as a fierce deity, right? She's a fierce deity holding this knife. You know, she is seen as a lotus. They said she has a single matted braid over her head. She is dark in complexion. She is dark in complexion. So that's completely different than the drop we was getting from this wave, right? Surfing the wave with this one, it's a completely different. So we see the switcheroo, which is why we're surfing the wave with you right here at 432. She is tall. It says that she has a bulging belly and she wears tiger pelts. Alright, she has her left foot on the chest of Shiva, and her right foot is placed between his thighs and knee. She has a terrifying laugh and is fearsome. She is the goddess who is also considered a form of Tara. She is iconographed with dark complexion. Okay, so she was dark. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about this aqua. Alright? We're talking about this aqua. This primordial aqua. You see what's going on. You know, so this is an energy that is active within our aquas that, you know, they're not trying to give light to, because as we climb this ascension, this elevation within the thought, with the right connectivity, with the right frequency, you put your aqua in the right zone, this is an energy that will carry out. It is an instruction. It is a powwow. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, this is just some of the knowledge that surfing the wave, you know, I provide, you know what I mean? So when you surf the wave with a con, man, it's like powwow. Whenever I do decide to tribe up again, you know what I mean? Definitely gonna be surfing the wave, because it's on. We don't necessarily got to get out here and create no, you know what I'm saying, unless it comes to it. Unless it ultimately comes to it, because this ascension, we out of here. We have already won. We're not involved with no physical war. This got nothing to do with us. Not this go around. We have a nice image for this division of consciousness down through creation in the form of a tree. You see what's going on? We start with a trunk which spawns 12 branches. Each branch then spans a further 12 twigs, each of which sprouts 12 leaves and so on. So a diverse collection of leaves all share relationship with one parent tree trunk, just as all in creation shares a relationship with a unified source. And this example is also down to the image of Hawa, because that one parent tree trunk are the image of Hawa. We are talking the image of Hawa, right? Excuse me. It says we are alive. We are alive at all of these levels in creation. Our main, see, here we go again. Their main problem is maintaining continuity of consciousness between levels due to fragmentation in creation. Our primary identity is consciousness more than the bodies it occupies and uses at each level. Death isn't fatal. It only represents the loss of a body and the release of the animating consciousness to the next level up. Okay. Let's get this dimensional grid. Because again, it's the sound that allows us to travel through these dimensional grids. The 12 dimensions of the matter fields have their own internal organization. This can be represented symbolically in many ways. The 12-dimensional or the Thara grid is a particularly powerful representation. This is the leftmost grid at the top of the first page. It is a map. It effectively is a map of dimensional structure in its original natural form. You see that? It effectively is a map of dimensional structure in its original natural form. So this is a map, Shabbatah, a cosmic map, and that's a cosmic tree. It represents a balance and a connected grid that integrates with higher level structures and supports free flows into and out of creation. Right? Because we're talking here anion. It says it carries a geometry that reflects relationships between the dimensional levels. We are extremely grateful to the Ayani, the Ashayana, and the ground team for this information. It says all original natural or organic structures. See what's going on? All original natural organic structures. All original natural organic structures are open, multi-dimensional, interconnected, whole direct source connection through a center point. And this would be your keys, your energy keys, your so-called chakras. It says grid connections therefore are extremely important. There are two key connection points in each dimensional grid. It has a center point marked Azura that holds direct inner source connection. There is a very important flow of life force and energy from this Azura center point through the grid and out through the dimension 12 center at the top to other levels in cosmic structure. This is represented by the crystal spiral, the blue spiral in the diagram further down. It expands out from the generating ever larger structures from the small to larger scale. The dimension doorway is another key connection point that is represented by the 12 center at the top of the grid. This connects directly to dimension 13 and primal light fields. Now this is amazing, right? Because this is how that 12 connects you straight to the ongoing levels. And it reminds me of I'm talking about the 13th son, because he's always talking about the 13th. You got to be connected to the 9 to reach the 13th. And now I'm able to see, surfing the wave, you know what I'm saying? It says, this connects directly to dimension 13. And go surf the wave when we know, right? Because in we know, I tell you exactly that. You know what? Let's surf the wave on that. Anyhow, shalom. Hey, Harp, to the real ones that's already surfed the wave. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to point out some very interesting things since we're surfing this particular wave we're on. So, hey, Harp, let's catch it real quick.
Here to bring you back, now watch the Asians attack. Finally some facts, being written and spitting. Naturalized flesh, I mesh well with the spirit. A living art exhibit like Village of Ica Stones. Laser carved pictures, I bring you on microphones. Claim the status of your melanin magic, remove the havoc. Watch the damage of repetitive lies suddenly vanish. Let them panic as I shatter the mold. Unlocking codes, revelations in the cursive and bold. Leaving them froze, the return of the old. My soul is OG, a nation to prepare in the name of 13. That's me, Mercury, born a stabilizer. 85% remain up under.
Alright, so did you hear what we said, right? A nation to prepare in the name of 13. So,
a nation to prepare in the name of 13, that's me.
Alright, now pay attention to the symbols, like my hand actions, right? But literally, Shabbat, as I started doing this flow, it literally started to rain. And I felt the elements literally around me activating within the ether as I was performing this in front of the ancient ancestral relics, right? Ancestral relics. And this is how we knew, you know what I'm saying? Especially the crew that I was with, the fam that I was with. We witnessed this, right? We're recording. But it was literally as I was channeling this part of the song, right? Within this flow. So we're talking about a nation to prepare in the name of 13. Now, what's crazy was I wrote this a long time ago, Shabbat, like years ago. You know what I'm saying? Years ago. But I had this premonition surfing the wave that I will always meet the real ones. So I didn't have no ties to no one back then. You know what I'm saying? So a nation to prepare in the name of 13, energizing, right? And we just got that 13th dimension getting through the 12th gate. And the nation is you, Drop Nation 432. We're talking 2015 flow. 2015, I was, man, this was 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, this is how I was surfing the wave, right? 10 years ago, I was surfing the wave like this. You see what's going on? And now seeing this and realizing, I'm like, man, this is a true anion vibe, because you can see the elements interacting with me as I'm doing so. And peep each part, right? Watch.
Leaving them froze, the return of the old. My soul is OG, a nation to prepare in the name of 13. That's me, Mercury.
Bang. So you see right here, as soon as I did that, all right, and I've always been on this quicksilver flow. No lie, I've always been a silver surfer, bringing destruction, using these words to bring destruction to the hijack. But the turn, the name Mercury wasn't necessarily in code. So I came back with when I was in code. And when I came back in code as natural by law. You know what I'm saying? That's when the Naga was really lit. And it's been lit since then. We've been surfing the wave since then. But peep it, the electricity, the current charge within the sky. Hawa, surfing the wave, right? Let's go.
Repetitive lies suddenly vanish, let them panic as I shatter the mold. Unlocking codes, revelations in the cursive and bold. Leaving them froze, the return of the old. My soul is OG, a nation to prepare in the name of 13. That's me, Mercury, born a stabilizer. 85% remain up under fire. I will not expire until our empire is replenished. Done to finish, I'm building a bit higher.
If you have a nation.
Alright, surfing wave. We're going to carry on to the next one. Shalom. Alright, so digging on that 13, you know what I'm saying, and how it basically is a connection to this higher dimension, right? So it says this in turn holds the connection with the primal light fields, and from there to the primal sound fields. Okay, D12 therefore is key to holding direct connection up through the higher levels of creation to source. It is also key to anchoring direct source connection into lower dimensional levels of its own grid. It can be regarded as an outer source connection by comparison with the inner source connection held through a Zora central point. D12, right, it says D12 is therefore critical to the integrity of a grid and its connections. A full dimensional grid effectively is a unified field. It interconnects a set of dimensional levels and in turn integrates the set with larger cosmic structures. D12 is a key link in holding direct connection, particularly direct source connection. Where missing, there is a key impediment to the free and natural flows of creation. It effectively becomes the missing link. So when you're thinking about your so-called junk DNA and this missing link and everything that's going forth, especially when we're talking about the bridge into ancient man, right? This impediment, this prevention of the natural flow and the free. It says the grid conflict. If we examine the conventional tree of life grid, we see that it is missing the dimension 12 connection. You see what's going on? This tree figures prominently in stories of the so-called fall of man and original sin. It does so for a reason. What actually fell was the tree grid itself. And this is what we got in the Tamoan Khan, right? It was the tree that fell, and that tree was what? Flowing with milk. You see what's going on? It was this tree of life, this sustaining sustenance. It says the fall was a grid event, not a human error or sin. It was a grid event. It says humanity did not fall as such. You know what I'm saying? You see what's going on? It was not humanity that fell, Shabbat. They're trying to hijack us, right? It says, but it has to deal with the consequences of the grid problems and has been impacted severely by these. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about exactly just what this problem was. It says the tree of life in our local universe was severed at D12 level. And that's what we got in this Tamoan Khan, right? That this tree was severed. This tree level was snapped off, right? So it says that this tree was severed at D12 level in a major event in our universal history known as the fall of Lyra. It says it lost a key connection to higher grid levels and a direct connection to source. 11 dimensions fell from significant higher grid connection, ending up in a degree of isolation. This led to all sorts of problems with limited resources, unbalanced development, and increasingly artificial and inorganic creations to compensate. The fall of Lyra was an event orchestrated by conflicting race lines in our local universe prior to the human era. Humanity has a role as part of the solution rather than the problem. How many times has humanity been told it is fallen? This is part of the strategy of disempowerment. We do have problems and significant ones, but we also have an immense capacity for connection and healing. The connections severed in the original fall of Lyra were restored after a time, but the underlying conflict and associated problems haven't been fully resolved. The connections have been broken again and repaired repeatedly in a sequence of falls down through the levels of our local universe. The conflict continues in our world in present times and forms a significant backdrop to what is happening on our plane right now. The D12 connection was restored on our planet in 2000, as Ashayana has described. It has provided a key lifeline for life on our plane in recent times. It is key to our ongoing evolution, development, and integration. It is a vital resource to be secured and availed of. And it's crazy that they're saying that this was restored in the year 2000, because we all know what happened in 2001. And I was in 7th grade when 2001 happened, World Trade Centers. And I was tripping, man. You know, I really thought it was a joke. I couldn't believe what was happening. You know what I'm saying? How has the D12 connection been severed in the past? Understanding this is key to preserving it in the present. When we examine the tree of life grid in relation to its original organic form in the 12-dimensional grid, we can see where the problem arose and can discern some of the mechanics involved. And we surfed the wave in that in the last episode, or in the last presentation of Tomorrow on Come. So let's go ahead and take a dive, Shabbat, because now we're getting into this talk of DaWee. We're going to show you what we mean, right? Surf the wave. Now, when I tell you this drop is one of those, that's exactly what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Definitely heavy. Because this Lyra, or this lyre, is a harp-like instrument. Lyre, right? From Latin Lyra, very interesting. From the Latin Lyra, from the Greek Lyra. So this word technically is Lyra, but they're telling you it is of uncertain origin. You know, because when we're surfing the wave, we're getting at this Lyra is a constellation, right? It's a system, right? It's a system, and it has to do with the falling of the original beings. Okay, so when you do the etymology on it, it leads you back to this lyre, which is a harp-like instrument. You should already know what vibration we're in as soon as I said that, right? It says it is especially the symbol of lyric poetry. You see what's going on? Lyric poetry. Lyric poetry. Okay? We're talking about it having to do with this music, surfing the wave in these installments. We definitely have been touching on this music, dealing with the image of Hawa. So now we're surfing the wave on harp, and to be a harp, or a harp, right, is a string musical instrument played with the fingers. It also says that it is an instrument of torture. Very interesting, right? It is an instrument of torture. Surf the wave, though, it says it is also of uncertain origin. You gotta wonder why, right? It says it means harmonica. It's a borrowing, which means harmonica. Very interesting. Surf the wave on that harmonica, right? We're talking about harp. Harp can also mean to overtalk or be overstimulated verbally. But since we're digging on harmonic, well, harmonic is relating to music, and it's to be harmonic musically or skilled in music. It's to be in harmony, which is tuneful. We're getting back to our ancient love song, right? And this walk with Hawa has to feel like an ancient love song. It has to feel at that level of intimacy for this true connectivity to pop off. So of course we're going to be digging on a harmony. And this harmony, well, it's a combination of tones that are pleasing to the ear, right? You got part one, but we're talking about an agreement, a concord of sounds. Literally means of joining. It is of a settled government, in order. You see what's going on? In order. And this government that is being settled is of the natural order. This is the return of the Naginis, the Nagas, the rising or the kum of the Khans, the Tamoan Khans. That wisdom, those are the wise dome. You know what I'm saying? So we're surfing the wave on this harmony, and we're getting this harmony from the harmonics produced by the harp. Because we're just building on the lyre, which is really from this Lyra, which is of this constellation, where they said the original man fell. Alright? So since we're digging on this harmony, well, it said that it was an instrument, right? An instrument of music. And saying that an instrument of music is used as a mechanical apparatus for producing musical sounds. It's a device, a musical instrument. We're also talking about a signal, a sign. It is a tool, an implement. It means furtherance. It also has to deal with furniture or ornament, a dressing, an embellishment, a commission, authorization. It can be a document. It is to arrange and prepare. That is to what? Set in order. Because the Khan's been telling you about this. What? You got the last drop. Some refer to me as an informer. You know, my good ox referred to me as a teacher. I'm just a wave surfer. Been surfing the wave since my youth, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about to build, you know, we're on the go, right? We're talking on the go. Con. To pile, to build, to what? Spread. And what's right next to that as you build, you know what I'm saying? So you know we're still talking the same flow. Because this is a natural order. Okay? Now we're talking, what does it say? An instrument of torture. Right? And when let's surf the wave on pain, right? Because pain is normally felt through torture. And this is what was interesting, right? That kind of took me back, because as I'm surfing the wave on this pain that is experienced through torture, well, it's talking about, you know, a punishment, especially for a crime, a legal punishment of any sort. And this is very interesting because we're talking about pain. And now they're talking about including fines and monetary penalties. Pain, Shabbat, pain, right? We're getting pain from this instrument of torture. Pain. Condition one feels when hurt, right? Opposite of pleasure, obviously, including mental or emotional suffering, grief, distress, difficulty, woe, suffering, punishment, hell's torments. You see what's going on? Punishment, penalty, retribution, indemnification, torment, hardship, suffering. So they put you in pain by attaching these penalties of monetary fines and punishment, especially for a crime, a legal punishment of an authority that is not natural. And they attach it to these penal codes, right? Surfing the wave, we're talking about that which is of or pertaining to punishment by law. So this is not natural by law. We're talking about it pertaining to punishment. A punishment. We're now talking what? Blood money. Do you see what's going on? Now we're talking blood money, which is a fine, a penalty of punishment to pay, atone, to compensate. You see what's really happening? When it's supposed to have a price, it's supposed to be about worth, it's supposed to be about honor or esteem or respect. But now they're talking about to make you pay a price by removing your respect. They punish you and take vengeance on your esteem and honor. And we've just been observing this treatment of these soulless ones, right? Those who are not natural by law, as they have exercised punishment and vengeance at the price of our honor and integrity through this penal code to bring down our value of worth and price. You see how we got all that through pain? Con? We're gonna carry on. Alright, so what is all this? So here we have torture. Right, so the etymon of torture is the twisting, contortion, or the distortion, a disorder characterized by contortion, infliction of great pain, agony, a twisting, a writhing, right, a writhing or writhing, a pain inflicted by judicial or ecclesiastical authority as a means of punishment or persuasion, also as a colic, which is a disease, right? A disease. So this is how they bring you torture, Shabbatai, for you being natural by law, right? And it said that it was an instrument of torture because we're talking about to twist, right? Here we have torment. So we surfed the wave on torment. What did we get? Torment. The systematic inflicting of torture, a state of great suffering, agony, anguish, physical or mental, a cause of physical or mental suffering. A torture, pain, anguish, suffering, distress, twisted cord, sling, clove press, instrument for hurling stones, instrument of torture, a rack, figuratively anguish, pain, torment, to twist. Okay, so the main thing they keep saying in this to me is to twist, right? To twist. Here they got oppress and agitate. So it's like they oppress you even though you didn't have any fall or original sin. Yet we know that the tree broke because we're talking about a hybridization, an intruding or an invading of hybrids. And we showed how that happened, right? So when we're talking about this twisting, we're talking about a flat part of a hinge, a divided object, a fork or rope. We're talking about a mast rope, a stay, a wick. Two, as in the number two, combining two into one. You see what's going on? Combining two into one. But they say dividing into two. Now it's crazy because when you twist, you divide into two, which is a trip because we're talking about twin, right? Combining two things closely joined, twin. To be parted in twain, part with separate, okay, go separate ways. It means separation, division. So this is kind of like an oxymoron, right? Because twin also means to come at the same time, two born at once. You know, we're also talking about the constellation of who. All right. So see how this is all in frequency. So if we're talking about the twist and we're talking about this twisting and they're talking about the action or the turning on an axis, then we're talking about oscillation or rotary motion. We're also talking about this cord or coil resembling a rope or coil. So now that we're talking about a coil, well, that immediately makes me think of your DNA. Right? And then when you're thinking of this DNA, well, your DNA is intertwined, right? But this intertwining creates a protection. It creates a protection, which they see as a twisting. So they're tortured at the fact that you're in the twist, right? And it brings them great torture and agony mentally and physically, that they can't understand your twist, because your twist deals with what? What does a twist relate to? Right? When you're talking about a twist, you are now talking about a what, Shabata? Right? When you're talking about a twist, you're talking about a constraint. But more so than a constraint, you're talking about a bind. And when we start to weigh on bind, well, guess what? Now we're having to tie with bonds. And you know what that means when we're talking about a bond, right? Now it says to bind is to make captive. But we're going to dodge the hijack on that, because we know what we're talking about is to cover, especially that which is with dressings or bandages. And when I say we got to cover up them domes, well, you know what we're talking about, right? A covering, because that covering relates us to what? A bond. That is a part of a bond. What are we speaking about, right? A bind, that which is tight, close knitted, that which sticks together. Cohere, we're talking about a binding. We're talking about a wave. We're talking about a billow. We're talking about a Shabata. Okay? Because we're talking about a Shabata, well, anything that binds is a part of a what? A bond. And this bond is a part of a band. Now, you know a band, that's multiple members. But furthermore, we're talking about a dwelling, a literal dwelling. So bond means a householder. Now, if bond means householder or dweller, well, what is living within the house that you hold, that you are binded by, right? Because now you're bounded by this twist, and your DNA is a twist. It is a bind. It is a twisted structure that is protected. That bind keeps your code stuck together, that they can't tap into, and that not being able to tap into is a torment. It is a torture to these hijacks, because they can't figure out where it is that you come from. You are the image of Hawa, so you are protected by this spiral. You see, it is a winding fashion. Right? A spin or two of more yarns, the meaning moving in a winding fashion, or to turn spirally. So we know that your hair is in this spiral. So this twisting is that bind, and that bind keeps your code stuck together. So it is protected through a bond. Now this bond is said to be a householder, literally a dweller. So what lives inside this dwelling? What lives inside? Right? It is the restraining or uniting force. You see what's going on? This bond is the uniting force, which is why they tell you that Aqua and Ak are bonded, right? It is a bond. And when we're speaking on this bond, we're talking about an agreement or a covenant. And when we're talking about this agreement or covenant, you see what's going on? We're talking about a binding or a uniting of power or influence. You cannot make this up. An influence, a binding of power. And when you really got that done in a legalistic sense, now pay attention, because they were hitting you with penal codes, right? So in the legalistic sense, we're talking about an instrument. Are you surfing the wave? An instrument. Binding one to pay a sum to another. You see what's happening? So it is an instrument of torture. Alright, because we're still talking about of atoms. We're talking about your anion. So this bond is this covenant. Right? And when we really, look, we cannot make this up, because they're talking about to be free. But you know, your bond, your covenant with Hawa, well, it allows you to be free, because that just means that Hawa is bonded and dwells within who? Within you. Because Hawa means to be, to exist, to grow. We're talking spring, right? We're talking spring. So Hawa is what dwells in your binding, your twisting of DNA. Hawa. Hawa. Alright, Hawa has you bounded by code. Well, how do we know? Well, let's get it. Because now we're talking about DaWee, right? We're talking about DaWee being anointed. Here we have 1 Samuel chapter 16. And Hawa said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thy horn with oil and go. I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And Hawa said, take an heifer with thee and say, I am come to sacrifice to the Most High, to Hawa. Keep in mind this sacrifice, right? Again, we were talking about on the Patreon drop that this sacrifice was going to be ushered in a lot more now, right? Because we were talking about a cultural divide on the Patreon drop. We were talking about a cultural divide ever since the fusion or the message being brought forth of this fusion of divine firewater. It would lead to a cultural divide, and it will require a sacrifice. You see what's going on? But this sacrifice wasn't what's perverted to be today. But this has to take place to show your consistent error, your refusal of acknowledging your error. So this sacrifice has to take place, right? To initially cook food. We're just talking about a preparation of food, to prepare your food, right? So to create this meal, to go forth this meal, someone had to lose that life. Meaning, in order for you to maintain what was taken, the original life, that tree falling out, right, of the grid, you now have to usher in that sacrifice to represent that which is missing, and that is your divine connection to source. And call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do, and thou shalt anoint unto me him whom I name unto thee. And Samuel did that which Hawa spake. Which Hawa spake, and came to Bethlehem, and the elders, the town, trembled at his coming, and said, comest thou peaceably? And he said, peaceably, I come to sacrifice unto Hawa. Sanctify yourself, and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called to them the sacrifice. And it came to pass, when day word come, that he looked on Eliab, and said, surely that the Most High's anointed is before him. But Hawa said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Most High seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Most High looketh on the heart. And that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. It says, then Jesse called Abinadab and made him pass before Samuel, and he said, neither hath the Most High chosen this. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by, and he said, neither hath the Most High chosen this. Again Jesse made 7 of his sons. Why does it keep doing that every time I press down? I won't do that no more. Excuse me, Charlotte. And Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, the Most High hath not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, are here all thy children? And he said, there remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, right? And with all of a beautiful countenance and goodly to look to. And the Most High said, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Get the drop, right? This is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. The oil, right? The oil, surfing the wave. We got some, freshly new fragrances and oils for the Shabbat at the website, right? So it says this oil, and anointed him in the midst of his brethren, and the spirit of HWH came upon DaWee, right? Upon DaWee from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. Now we're talking about the anointing of DaWee, right? This anointing. And this is a tribal thing, right? The tribe is who anoints you. Multiple members of this selected elect. It says, but the spirit of HWH departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Most High troubled him, right? Troubled him. But the word that we got was what? It was supposed to be torment, right? Let's see. Let's surf the wave. So we're talking about this torture. And it says, and Saul's servant said unto him, behold, now he, an evil spirit from HWH, troubleth thee. Now that's crazy, right? Let our HWH now command thy servants which are before thee to seek out of a man who is a cunning player on a harp. And it shall come to pass, when the evil spirit from HWH is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. And Saul said unto his servants, provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the servants and said, behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is cunning and plain, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war. You see what's going on? And prudent in matters, and a comely person, and the Most High is with him. We're talking about these warriors, and we've been digging on this house of DaWee, right? We've been bringing you the face of Zerah. Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse and said, send me DaWee thy son, which is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by DaWee his son unto Saul. Oh man, excuse me about that, man. That keeps happening. It says, and David came to Saul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor bearer. And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he hath found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from HWH was upon Saul, that David took a harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him. Allahu. So this evil spirit, right, was sent to torment, sent to torture Saul. Right? It was sent to torture Saul. And because he was able to receive this spirit needed to be healed, but the Most High was providing an example that this harp was a part of the binding, was a part of the covenant, because it was of the sound that was most pleasing to Hawa. So Hawa gave the tribe, which would become a nation, right? He gave the tribes, which would become a nation, a leader, a king, a Khan within their midst, one that was selected through the favor of Hawa, through this bonding, this binding, this covenant, this reminder that through what? Through the twisting, right? Through the twisting, the bonding was this everlasting covenant. It was this everlasting covenant, this agreement. And this agreement, this everlasting covenant, is an instrument. And that instrument has to do with the bind or the twisting that leaves us stuck together, right? It leaves us stuck together as our DNA winds and turns into a spiral. We're talking about that spiral, that chaotic ether, right? Which is a torment or a torture to those who cannot physically nor mentally understand. This is why I make my real ones inner dig what I'm putting down. You see what's going on? Because when we're surfing a wave, Shabbat, when we're really surfing a wave, you know, DaWee, well, what was he able to do? He was able to heal that spirit of torment. Right? It says DaWee in the harp. Refers to the story where young DaWee, a shepherd, played the harp for King Saul to soothe that evil spirit that plagued him effectively. Alright, that plagued him, effectively calming Saul down with his music. So Hawa, through the music, through the sound, was able to restore Saul as this transition of powwow was passed on from Saul to DaWee. The evil spirit, according to the Bible, King Saul was tormented by an evil spirit from Hawa, which caused him to become agitated and violent. And this is a Dracon pop off. That's why when we're talking about these dragons, we're talking about them potentially being violent and fierce. The harp is often interpreted as a symbol of peace, healing, and divine inspiration in this context. So this is a reminder that there is an everlasting peace, an everlasting divine inspiration. And we're just talking about King DaWee, the Prester of the harp. You see what's going on? Talking about your Khan, the everlasting Khan. So as we're talking about these Lyras, this Stargate, this Lyra, this Lyra being a harp, well, we can dig on the portals and these Stargates again, right? Because it says when Stargates and portals activate, the counter-rotating electromagnetic spiral pair merges to form a Merkaba vehicle. Its center becomes a form constant, right? This is the star child, the star seed, still point that links various space-time locations directly to each other, creating a trans-time bridge. And this is the bridging between past and future, which is the present. It says vertical axes, spiral pairs form the stargates of the dimensional lock system, which permit passage between space-time locations in multiple universes and density levels. So when you have a devoted Aqua, when you have a loyal Ak, when you guys are committed and loyal to each other, and that bond, leaves and tests the time and the experience on earth, when you take this bond with you into the heavenly realms, well, you guys are able to come together to connect the past and the future to travel unlimited. It takes you from first to the 12th with no stopping. See what's going on? With no stopping. Because you guys have become one. You see the Wata shooting up, the Fire shooting down. Furthermore, when we're talking about these constellations, when we're talking about this Lyra, well, it said that at the 11th Stargate is when the war popped off, which is true. As the original beings, we were stuck on our 11th Stargate when these races from the 10th sphere, the 10th point, center point, right, decided to pop off on us, and our warring structures led to the disconnection, or a black hole. We created a black hole in between these two dimensions, these two doorways. And because that black hole has created itself, it developed a separation. And so it has been our job to reconnect that disconnection back. We have to tweak it. But we can only do this through a true experience of Ahab, and we have to understand what was done, because our actions, according to these 10th level beings, right, who some could refer to as the ancient Moors and these other sorts. But notice how Orion and the Tara and all these others are lower, right? So anyone talking Orion and Pleiades, look how far. Look at where Sirius is. It's at 6. You're way up here. When you're talking about that Sphinx is in the image of what? A cat, right? So we're talking Lyra, we're talking about your lions, we're talking about your panthers, you're talking your Wakanda, right? Wakanda forever. This is what that Black Panther is, that jaguar priest. It is this Lyra. This is our connection back to the stars. Lyra also means the harp. So considering that it means the harp, well, we're talking about this instrument of DaWee. DaWee being the most talented, skilled, revered player in this instrument, bringing a healing of an evil spirit that was sent to torment Saul. And because we're digging on this Lyra, well, guess what Lyra is referred to as? The Harp constellation. It is known as the Harp constellation. So this is that tip-top origin, that centering point of this star concentration. How do we know? Because we are in the age of Aquarius, right? And this zodiac is between Aquarius and Capricorn. And this is where we get the focusing of that powwow, because this is that representation. You see it, this Lyra is the Harp constellation. This is the constellation of DaWee. So we know that DaWee is the Prester of this Lyra constellation. And when we're talking about these heaven stars, these wars of the firmament and the Shamayim, well, David, DaWee, Prester Juan Khan was always that John. He was always that guy. And now you see that interstellar wave that Natural's really been on by the council of Elohim, Hawa. Because this is the age of that Wata. You know what I'm saying? This is the age of that Wata. So we're going to surf the wave. We're going to get example of what this melody sounds like. Ayah to you, Shabbatah, that is a wonderful, beautiful tribe. Because when we're surfing the wave on this harp, right, it's crazy how they let me click it now. But before, remember when I was trying to click this Shabbatah and they wasn't letting me get it? Now they was playing a trick on me that day, huh? It's crazy because it's saying that this heart means to what? That this heart means to twang, right? So let's surf the wave. It says this heart means to twang. And this twang is a sound of tense string plucked into sharp vibration. All All right, a sharp vibration, a twang to give out a sharp metallic ring. So that's a very distinct sound that we're talking about. A very distinct sound. So let's get a preview of this distinct sound. And I hope that, this has been a very inspirational wave. All right, we're going to get a little bit of this Howard J. bus, and we're just going to see what it's like to surf the wave, Shabbat. And, we're just continuing to inspire that anion, to build that bridge. I hope that you are doing well, especially in the case that you weren't. This is what these type of builds are for. To give you that lift, to give you that charge, to give you that build, to remind you and refresh the Ruach, and to lead you back to this Shekinah flow. So we're going to go ahead and surf the wave. But before we do, let's get this, right? We'll leave you with this. It says the Harp Star for solo harp showcases both the agility and the beautiful sonorous tone of the solo harp. It is dedicated to the renowned Italian harpist Paola Devoti. The title refers to Vega, also known as Alpha Lyrae or Lyra, the brightest star in constellation, Lyra the harp. In Greek mythology, Vega's constellation is said to be the harp played by Orpheus. The title has a dual meaning as it refers to the person playing the composition. The character of Vega of Lyra ranges from lyrical tenderness to powerful and sometimes fiery technical displays. I mean, we can't make this up, right? Fiery technical displays. And we're talking about a sonorous tone. And we've been dealing on this sonorous tone, right? The sonar, that of the Tomowankans, your ancient ancestors. It says the music explores a wide array of sonic atmospheres and moods. The sophisticated music language coupled with soaring melodies and intriguing rhythms make this composition an accessible concert work as well as an impressive contest piece. And we're just surfing a wave on your sonorous, right? Your sonar vibes. You know what I'm saying? So until the next time, Shabbat, I hope this was a wonderful vibe for you. Much anion to all the real ones surfing the wave. Halahuah.